Welcome back, everybody, to Turn Order the Seventh Eon, episode number 5. Welcome back. Yes, so we return as the group meets with Eldred Everflow in his ridiculous, ostentatious, super extravagant office with lush fabrics, extravagant furniture, and the fineries all strewn about. He has quite expensive-looking sculptures and lush plants and flowers also planted in various places around his office here. There's a big, sturdy-looking dark wood desk that is placed in front of a sort of silver-looking chair. The theme to this guy seems to have a lot of silver things all about. And he says, "A pleasure to entertain the Iron Foxes. Your reputation precedes you. I'm sad that the Silver Fox himself couldn't be here. Unless
he was busy, obviously.
Unfortunate, but understandable.
Well, he's not as good company as us anyway, so I think you're better off, Mr. Everflow."
The guards sort of like start to reach for their weapons, and he holds a hand up, and he says, "I am to be addressed as Your Grace." And he's staring at you, Kelvin.
Yep. I just look at Bellamont.
I just nod to you, look back to Eldred. "My apologies, Your Grace."
Apologies, your grapes. Oh, and she covers up her mouth.
Your Grace.
I think it's grapes.
I'm gonna try and get to her here. Them are not grapes, girl. You be careful.
Yeah, and yeah. So Ori looks like upset that she lost, like visibly pouting, and he says
she's pouting.
Yeah, she's totally pouting.
Adorable.
Yeah, and he says, "If you would be so kind as to sit down."
I assume there's enough seats and stuff, right?
Yeah, we would take our seats.
Yeah.
I sit in the dwarf-sized one.
The specific dwarf chair that he got.
Yeah, there's no dwarf chairs. It's just regular chairs. Yeah, and you could tell that they're they're probably like a little bit smaller than his chair. You know what I mean? Like he's got all this like lush finery and whatnot. These are like really expensive chairs, like in general, but they're like purposefully like shorter. Like you guys like sit down and like drab. Your legs are like, you know, your knees are just like.
Am I still actually taller than him sitting in his seat?
Yeah, totally. So you sit down.
What was omnipresence again for race?
I'm sorry, what?
What race was he?
He appears. You got the general sort of
Vibe of an elf. But...
Yeah, like he didn't have pointed ears. He still looks like human.
Technically we don't know.
Yeah. He's got like long, black, well-groomed hair. You know, it's like long and straight, and you know, it looks like a Pantene commercial. You know what I mean? Like,
maybe it's Maybelline.
Yeah. He's immaculately groomed. And he's got like very cold-looking blue-gray eyes, and he's very pale. And he says, I'm happy to see that the Iron Foxes themselves were able to help us with our problem.
Well,
What
we might
exactly
be able
is
to
the
help
problem?
you, Your Grace. We don't know what your issue actually is.
We are having a conflict of interest, you see. The Magistratus. Do you know who they are?
Not
Do-
exactly.
Yeah.
Is there a roll I can make to see if I'm familiar with that?
You were told what it was in the last episode. I think by the Silver Fox himself. And the Magistratus is sort of like the magic cops.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he says the Magistratus has been unfortunately tied up with certain events, and we require some outside assistance. You can imagine the need for discretion in these matters. He looks towards you, Belmorn.
I just nod. So, what exactly is it that you need us to do that you would have preferred for them to do?
We are under the impression that a certain artifact is involved in, well, certain
One second,
activities.
the dog is going crazy.
Yeah,
about
Rex
it.
is kind of he's walking around, his tail's hitting off the wall. I'll mute.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
What kind of artifact?
We are not sure.
Was it
Where was it
stolen
lost from? Yes, was it stolen? That's a great question.
We have inferred that it is, in fact, an artifact. Well, to be more specific, the leader of the Magistratus and a fellow member of the Omnipresence, Thamiel Brightbane, has used his information networks and spies to hear about an object of sorts. You see, the thing that is occupying the Magistratus's time and resources is, well, there are various creatures around the jungle, as I'm sure you are aware. Creatures that would normally be scared of humans and other beings. They have been acting strangely. There have been savage attacks reported by travelers from a variety of animals that should be otherwise harmless. One family...
How long has this been going on, Your Grace?
I'm not sure of all of the details. Thamiel can fill you in a more complete fashion. But I was told of one family traveling along the northeast road. They said that monkeys and baboons had chased them with some sort of unholy look about them. They were seemingly mad with rage and were seen overtaking and devouring a creature much bigger than them in a giant pack. Are any of you familiar with these monkeys, baboons?
I mean, can I roll for that?
Yeah, everybody can roll me a nature check.
Can I just say I know what a baboon is, but I've probably never seen one.
Up to you.
It's a baboon, right? They're not like rare or anything. The ones with the big bottoms.
Eloquently put.
Well, they have very strong teeth, large fangs, and they're powerful. It's no joke.
Has there ever been an occurrence such as this before, when the creatures outside the gates in the jungle have turned rabid?
Not that I remember. We have had other problems as well. It appears that this is not a singular occurrence of such things. Small creatures all over the realm have been acting strangely. I'm not sure for how long it has been going on. As I'm sure you are aware, we have many problems that we must deal with on a daily basis, and much coin to be made.
When was it at least brought to your attention?
Over the course of the last few weeks.
Do we have any idea what the artifact looks like?
We are merely making an educated guess that there is an artifact involved. For such an abrupt thing to be taking place in such an overshadowing way seems unlikely. An outside influence of sorts is expected, but and you can see like he sort of like leans over the desk. Give me an insight check, Kelvin.
Yeah, I'm not great at these, but here we go. 15.
It's not too hard to tell. There's a certain gleam in this guy's eyes, like a sort of yearning, a definite desire, as he sort of is speaking on this. He says, "It is important that we find this cause."
Are there any other strange... Sorry.
We must study it and make sure that there are no other effects.
So you don't want us to destroy it?
No. And he for the first time you see him like open his eyes like fully, and he says, "If it is destroyed, then our contract is null and void."
Okay, and if it happens to be an individual rather than an artifact, you want them brought back alive, I assume?
Yes.
Right, any other strange things going on could possibly be related to any of this strange monkey business?
I'm unaware of any other problems, but perhaps you should speak with Thamiel. He knows more details than I.
Oh, that's a good point. Who should we speak to about getting a magic license?
He sort of like looks around. Why do you require one?
Well, if you wish to have the full fighting power of the Iron Foxes, we will require licenses.
I don't need one, I'm an alchemist.
As am I. And you can see, like, for the first time, he sort of like motions to a corner of the room, and you see like this super intricate, like really crazy looking alembic that you would recognize as probably like really high quality and really unnecessary.
What is a limbic?
An alembic is An alembic is a sort of. It's generally like lab equipment. It's like different. When you see like the typical sort of like chemistry setup, an alembic is usually a part of it.
Okay.
Ooh, that's fantastic. Very nice.
Yes, I'm afraid that it was ruled a long time ago that alchemy is also forbidden without a license in the city.
So can we get these licenses? Obviously, you want us to do our jobs, right?
Thamiel is the one to judge such things. If he deems it necessary, you will be granted a provisional license.
Understandable. Is there anything else you wish to inform us before we go and talk to Sir Thamio?
One thing. I would be remiss if I wasn't to tell you of the importance of this, and importance of discretion. There are other members of the Omnipresence that would enjoy learning of such things.
Well, you have the word of myself, and I looked around the group, the rest of the Iron Foxes, and promising you that we will keep this as discreet as possible.
Yes, your grapes. We will keep things quiet. The Iron Foxes will help. He's like looks down, like trying to find the source of this voice. And Ori's looking like all proud. She's standing up like as straight as possible. And he says, "Who brought a child along?"
Now, don't be bloody rude, Your Grace. This is not a child. This is a member of the Silver Foxes.
Iron Foxes.
Iron Silver Fox.
Yeah, my eyes are still locked on the
Silver Iron Fox. The Iron Foxes.
Very well. It is none of my business, regardless whom you bring with. As long as you get the job done, and do so quietly, and make sure you bring back the cause of this in one piece.
Of course.
A good day. And he sort of like turns his back.
Just quick, will you be the one that will give us the reward when we find you?
God damn it, Ignia.
And he says, "You will be paid, assuming you bring back everything intact."
Obviously, we will make sure of that. Sure, he just can't give back anything else if he doesn't even know what he's missing. I'm whispering this.
To whom?
To, Drap.
You're muted.
Muted.
Yep. Your Grace, let's go see your associate.
You can see he's like turned towards like his alembic and stuff. He's like letting out like this pressured steam that starts like changing colors. How do you hide your erection right now?
He's doing one of those things where he just kind of like keeps his butt back, like just walk around like that.
It's well strapped inside my cup.
Like when you have to pee in the morning and you live in a shared house. When we get outside, you're right there, Calvin.
I don't leave it. I'm sitting in the chair staring at the alembic still.
Yeah, I'd like grab Kelvin by like the shoulder,
no.
just kind of
No,
tug him.
I want to just look at it a little longer.
The quicker we get this finished, the quicker you can come back and take a look.
Or I can just look now.
Or we'll just finish this, get the money, you'll buy one yourself.
We could do that.
We could.
But that means we'll have to do it. That means you have to leave right now.
This
And
way,
I just
Calvin.
drag him. I grab him in his like neck.
I like tear my eyes away from it. Okay, let's go. I'll be back for you.
What bloody hell's wrong with you, Kelvin?
What?
Wrong with you?
What do you mean it's wrong with me?
You got that look on your face that I get when I see a busty barmaid.
Oh, you don't understand.
I understand busty. Look, look, sunshine. If there's one thing I understand, busty barmaids.
I mean, you don't understand Olympics.
What Bix? Aerobics? Yeah, I done a bit of that.
It's fine. It's not for everyone.
Well, it gets your cardiovascular going, doesn't it?
Righty, who are we meeting with now? Percy von Winkelstein.
Pretty sure that's not his name.
Oh, no,
Samuel something.
Trip Nippleson.
Before we find this bugger, you were saying there, Ignia?
Well, he said he doesn't know what he lost. So how can he tell for sure that what we bring back isn't what it is?
Because we are upstanding citizens.
As much as he's like, oh, you must call me Grandmaster Massive Bobby Big Balls the Third. He's looks like he might know what he's talking about. So probably
Then why
best we
didn't he
don't-
tell us?
Because
I mean,
he's not
obvious.
quite sure.
He's. I don't think we should try and trick him. He might be a look around, might be an asshole, but he looking at that alembic, he knows what he's doing. He'd be able to tell, I think, if we brought the wrong thing.
Okay, fine.
Are we being like
Yeah, do we know what
ushered
it's...
towards Thamio? Was it Thamio? I have Lightbane because I just didn't get the chance to write it down quick enough.
Bright
It's Thamio.
Bane?
Bright Bane?
Mhm.
Okay.
And it's Thamiel.
Thamiel? Not
Yes.
Thamio. Okay.
Yeah. So the guards have sort of like walked you out of the room, but they will say that the Magistratus building is, you can see it on the map there. They sort of direct you there. It's number 3 on the map.
Okay, I don't see it on the map because my screen is teeny tiny.
I don't see a 3 on the map.
No,
at
I
all.
don't see green map at
I
all.
don't think
Did I
there's a
just
3 on the
not
map.
put the 3 on there? Nope.
Yeah, there's just no 3.
I just didn't put the
Okay, I
3.
was about to say.
It's
I'm losing
hidden.
my mind.
You guys have to find it.
Jokes at you.
So actually, yeah. Wow, wrecked Wacksteven. So the Magistratus building is located on the western side of town. It is the building right there. And let's bring the map overlay up, even though I don't have it numbered because I'm a
So
dingus.
where? Because
It's
I
this
have my
one.
thing right here, right? Oh, this one.
Yeah. Boop. Let's do that.
That's the best 3 I've ever drawn in my life.
That's
Something.
what is that?
Okay. So yeah, that is that's where the Magistratus is. Yeah, it's basically the other side of town that they sort of direct you to.
Kind of weird that they don't have it close to the office.
We want to go and see this guy right now?
I think it's in our best interest, yes.
Probably. We really need to get them licenses. Especially you, Kelvin.
His grapes seemed really interested in getting this thing soon, so we should do it.
The phrase you're looking for there, Ori, is arsehole.
No, Belmorn said that that wasn't good to say.
Not in front of people's faces who are actually up. Definitely not.
Thanks for doing the gracing for me, Belly. It's appreciated.
No worries. I know how difficult it can be to jump into somebody else's lifestyle. Being a noble takes far more effort than I care to admit.
Was that like a backhanded compliment, or
no? That's like a straight up like being a noble takes
You're
way
not
more
good
effort to
enough,
suck up.
basically.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I suppose we'll head across town.
The whole time we're going, I want to look at everything, because that guy was weird as shit. We've been warned twice that no one is what they seem. He looked like an elf, didn't have the ears. It's all been pretty weird.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got my eyes and ears open for
You're in cop
anything
mode.
that's weird. I am totally in cop mode. I'm walking the beat.
Detective Drab on duty.
Okay. So sure. Absolutely. Give me an investigation check, Drab. Okay. So, as you guys like start to walk through town and whatnot, you will notice that while there's, sort of like typical people walking around and whatnot, there's a lot of people that seem to be watching. There's a definite sort of like voyeur kind of vibe from a lot of the people, just in general. You see people watching people, and there's a lot of... I'm sorry, what was that?
Well, in what way are they watching people? Like,
there's quite obviously like people that seem to be part of the crowd that are watching people. There's a lot. Your hackles are up, Drab. The whole city has a sort of spy kind of feeling to it. You know what I mean? Everyone seems to be very aware of what other people are doing out in public.
Is it like just a general kind of tense atmosphere because of that? Like, people don't seem relaxed.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, there's a lot of street performers and stuff that are around the city. Like, it's a very kind of festive kind of place. So like, there's a lot of like performers and stuff. So there's like this almost forced atmosphere of trying to like make people relax, but it's not quite there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I give Drab a nudge. Drab, or is this place a little... feel a little,
It's not just you.
Yeah, okay.
I feel it as well.
We should probably discuss this when we're not walking down the street.
Yeah.
Good point.
And I flip you the gold coin.
I wink at Ori as I tuck it into my pouch.
She gives you like the saddest and angriest look you've ever seen from her. Like, she looks pissed.
Oh, get good, scrub. Right, this way, I think.
She's like goose stepping, and you continue on. You guys see a very interesting sight as you move through the market square, which is also very active. There's lots of haggling and things going on. It's a very, very active market square. It looks like people are sort of like buying dinner. So a lot of stalls are sort of like wrapping up for the day. It's probably about like 6 o'clock or so by the time you guys start making your way through the market square. You were at that building for a while. It was like a good like 2 hours or something when all is said and done. So there's like a lot of stalls that are kind of closing up for the day in the marketplace. People sort of like rolling up their tents and whatnot and tying them and just removing their inventory and whatnot from display. And there's a few people that are buying probably some like meat on a stick and, you know, general kind of market food. As you walk past, you can see this like really impressive looking site. There's a very large L-shaped wall that has this amazingly beautiful stonework that's done to it. It's like a bas-relief, you know, like a very intricately carved piece of stonework. And there's lots of people that are sort of like looking at it, appraising it. There's people that are kind of like kneeling and stuff. And you can see there's probably like a few people wearing vestments and things around it that are... Belmorn, you can roll me a religion check.
Okay. 19.
Yeah, you can quite clearly realize that there's lots of people performing like religious rites and things around this wall. Mm-hmm. And you can see that there is a part of this bas-relief, which is this like huge kind of almost like a mural that just kind of like wraps around this wall. Has a representation of Bahamut and Tiamat, sort of like in a conflict, like it's this sort of battle scene, illustrated in this intricate stonework carved into this wall.
Yeah, I'm more so staring at that the whole time we're walking, just taking in that scene. Is it painted as well, or just like
bloody
carved
wall
in?
there, Belmont?
Well, it depicts my god Bahamut and the evil Tiamats pictured in everlasting battle.
Is that normal?
Well, it's quite sacrilegious to depict Tiamat in Verdun, and it's unheard of in Bahamut, but people worship all different types of things.
But they're still worshipping the good one, right?
Does it look like Bahamut has the upper edge in this battle, or is it just like a straight-on clash of equal power?
So if you walk up to the wall, you could probably tell, but from far away, you would probably just recognize like just the general kind of shape of these like large kind of like dragons and Tiamat with her many heads. But if you want to walk closer, you can tell.
It's hard to tell from this distance. I can't discern all the finer details, but it does seem odd and out of place, especially considering Kazakhs is just across the bay from Verdun. Well,
Let's go and have a bloody look at it then. Come on.
You sure?
Look.
We can take a look at it on the way back.
That bloody pushnut kept us waiting for at least an hour.
Fine, I can't say I'm not interested to learn a little bit more.
Yeah, and I head over to the wall with Drab, and I assume everybody else is following along.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as you get closer, you can see that this is some really beautiful work. Quite similar to a lot of the things that you've seen in this city. It's very high quality and very intricate stonework, stone carvings done in this bas-relief. It seems to be a huge mural depicting many different gods in what is sort of like represented in their classic depiction. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like what the god is sort of like seemingly the gods are depicted in their sort of normal representation, right? Like what they are sort of known for. It seems like they've sort of been depicted in that way on this mural. That's sort of like this huge scene of all these like different things happening. You know, there's like a battle, and there's like gods performing great deeds, and then there's sort of like evil representations of different gods as well, and you see like them performing like horrible acts of atrocities and things like that. It seems to be a just a giant representation of many different gods, and there's people that are straight up like worshiping different gods and things like that. They've quite obviously are saying prayers and such in front of this. And there's like a good amount of people that are looking at it. Several people with lamps just examining the stonework. Looks like tourists, too, that are just kind of looking at this thing.
Yes, it seems just to be a huge mural of, well, of all of the gods that people worship across the land. Both good and bad.
I see, Bahamut there. It's really, that's big.
Yes, Bahamut is massive.
I sort of do a quick prayer sign on my chest.
Ori just like tries her best to copy it.
Seems like they consolidated all their religions into one wall. It's kind of brilliant.
I'm looking around. Is there Moradin anywhere on there?
Oh yeah, there's a representation of Moradin there as well.
Oh. Got Moradin as well.
You can see him like crafting the great gates.
Oh. Look, it's the birth of the dwarves in Lesia. Some people think that he helped create the gates. Other people says it was one dwarf. Both equally unbelievable. No one knows the truth. But, and I just leave it at that.
I mean, my cousin thinks he invented beer.
What? That was the dwarves.
Uh-huh.
Dwarves invented beer.
Yep, probably.
Everyone
They look
knows
the
that.
type.
Yep.
Well, this is certainly not relic or
Nothing
depiction.
seems... looking at it, does it seem ominous? Is it just like a celebration of gods, or is it like a bit more creepy than that?
I mean, it seems to just be a giant sculpture of sorts, you know, of all these different religions and things.
It's just a fan art sort of everything.
It seems like you guys haven't seen any shrines or any temples or anything like that, you know, on the eastern and southern sides of the city that you've gone past or whatever. This is kind of the first religious thing that you've sort of seen. You've seen people that have been wearing different holy symbols and stuff like that, so it doesn't appear like religion is like outlawed or anything in this city, but this is the first thing that you've seen that's kind of religious, and it's kind of seems to be representing a pantheon of different gods.
The wonderful wall of worship. That's what I'm calling it.
So there's somebody that's sort of standing up. They were like kneeling down, saying their prayers, right next to you, Kelvin. And they say, it's a human female. She seems to be wearing like much of the other brightly colored fineries that you've seen so far. And she says, "Are you new in Kazakhs?"
We must get going. We mean
Yep.
you no disrespect, but we have business to attend to.
Yep. Enjoy your wonderful wall of worship.
This is the God Wall.
I prefer my name, to be honest.
You see, we do not discriminate against the different gods and religions here in Zahuras. And this God Wall was commissioned hundreds of years ago to represent that.
You don't have any temples
Great.
or churches or cathedrals?
There is but one temple in all of Kazakhs, the Temple of the Cerulean Sky.
Do I know that as a religion?
Give me a religion check.
Do you mind if I do as well, if I heard that? being so religious.
Sure.
Being so goddamn pious.
So pious, yeah.
Belmorn, you've never heard of it.
Okay.
Drab, the only time you've heard of it has been as you sort of have been walking through the city. You had no previous knowledge of this place, even the previous times that you've been to Zahuraz. What you have heard was that, just in general mutterings, like as you've been walking through the city, you've seen a few holy symbols that as you hear the name, the Temple of the Cerulean Sky, you sort of like are flashing back to these different like holy symbols of a sort of like a blue representation of a sun. And you're not familiar with the religion, but you have heard a lot of people muttering about it as you've been moving through the city. It seems to be a relatively new temple. They've been talking about like things like, oh, did you attend, the unveiling of the temple and things like that. But other than that, you before today, you had never heard of this.
Belmorn, we should probably have a few words later.
I agree.
But
I
let's
mean you
just
no
go.
disrespect, my lady, but we must get going.
I kind of just give a slight bow to the female that just gave us that little bit of information.
I gave her a cheeky wink.
Gee.
I love.
Right. Thanks for giving us history on this. It's been a pleasure, man.
Absolutely. If you desire any further conversation, as she stands up, you can see like she's a very shapely woman. She's thoughtful, honest, intelligent, caring, and courteous.
And how would we know that from seeing her, huh?
It's okay.
Okay.
I like turn back towards her again.
And she hands you, she actually hands you like a card as she sort of like, she sort of brushes your shoulder, probably like just like brushes a piece of dirt off of your shoulder or something, Kelvin. And she sort of like coyly hands you a card.
Thank you. And I'm like a sweaty, horrid mess. Like my hair's stuck to my face and everything. Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah. And yeah, she's wearing like some probably like some purples and some pinks, very like airy kind of clothing, and pretty revealing. She gives you a good cleavage show as she stands up.
Yeah, that's very nice dress you have there.
She makes sure to like lean over as she hands you the card, and you can see that it's a card for it says the Feather's Touch, and it gives you like a street street location.
Well, we really must be going. This
Tuck
way,
it into a
Kelvin.
pocket, making full eye contact.
Maybe I'll see you
I'm like
later.
dragging Kelvin at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yep, maybe you will.
Okay, you continue onwards towards the western side of the city. As you do, you guys can see like a lot more of the Magistratus sort of like walking around the city. They're in like various groups and things. Look like they're sort of setting up patrols for the night. And a bunch of torches and things are being lit all around the city as people prepare for the night. And the interesting thing about these torches is they're not fire that you can tell. They appear to be lit in a variety of different ways. You can see some sort of like dancing lights move around through these torches, but quite clearly they are magical. They are not actual fire.
I mean, I'm just curious because like everyone in the city just knows that magic, like, Because I know, like, in most of the places...
You cut out there. You cut out there, Mac.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said, like, so all the people in the city knows here that magic exists.
Yeah. And you have been sort of briefed about Kha'Zix, and Kha'Zix is a city where magic is sort of commonplace, but it is in fact highly governed. But yeah, so you guys sort of like walk past the various Magistratus patrols, and you make it towards a sort of much less ostentatious kind of building. It's generally like pretty plain. It still has that sort of same tower look, but it's reinforced, and you can tell that there's sort of like guards with crossbows and things like in various perches and whatnot around the roof of the building and whatnot. And there's different like brigades of people moving about, wearing the Magistratus uniforms. When you walk up to the building, you can see that there's like a decent amount of activity. There are, I would say probably like, there's probably like a line of people that just seem to be heading into the building. Look like various members of the community and whatnot.
Does this building give off does it give off a police vibe or a special police vibe? Like a spec ops police.
I think I'm not even really going to make you roll for it. It definitely gives off both.
Okay.
Well,
But it's more police than militaristic.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
I pull the card out of my pocket.
Ha!
I
Bang!
I read it properly for the first time. The feathers touch.
She was just advertising her shop. Oh, that's good. Oh, Kelvin. Whack.
Do they sell feathers? Do you have any of the bird people feathers in there?
I would doubt that they sell feathers of the people that live here.
It's a misleading name if they don't sell feathers.
Yes, should really get to the...
What's the design on the
Magistratus.
card like? Is it?
It's pretty basic. I mean, you know, there's not like there's no graphic designers in this place. You know, like it's it's probably like a calligraphy. You know, that has the text for the feathers touch written out, and you can see like it's basically written down as pleasure bar.
Ah.
And there is like a it's basically like a street and a cross street location for it.
Oh, just hold the card up. Look at that subtle coloring.
Yeah, it's nice,
The
Kelvin.
tasteful thickness.
Can I see that?
Even has a watermark. Like hand it. Oh yeah, sure.
I crumple it up. We don't have time for such filth.
You mean filth? It's an honest feather saleswoman.
Honest, yes.
It's just a bar, Belmont.
Look, what were we told when we were first docked here? Trust nothing and no one.
I didn't mention should be so like pause. Glance over at Ignia. Yeah, good point.
Can
I
we
just walk
go?
off.
I'm feeling uncomfortable with this conversation.
Me too, my dear.
I just think it's too spot on. It's insane.
Yeah, let's go see this bugger. Hopefully he's not a bloody toff like the last one.
You shouldn't talk about his grapes like that.
It's Grace, not
And
Grace.
we shouldn't talk about him like that in his presence.
Honestly,
I didn't see any presents.
while we're in Kazakhs, even here in Zahuraz at all, I feel as if we should refrain from speaking any ill will of any of the omnipresents.
Bear in mind, all I said was toff. Didn't say his name till you brought it up. Are we going in here?
Are there guards and stuff out front of the
yeah. There's like a heavy Magistratus presence here for sure. One interesting thing that you would note, Drab, because I feel like you probably give everybody the cop eyeball, as you know, because you're these are your
Once
people.
a cop, always a cop, you know.
Yeah, and I have an ex-cop as a boss, so like I know.
Once a cop,
Yeah,
always a cop.
he can actually spot a cop from like a mile away. He's like, that guy's a cop. He's like, that guy's a cop. You can tell like each one of these guys seems to have like really like serious equipment and stuff. Like they're not fucking around. Like they've got like real weapons and stuff. They don't seem to have like a general kind of default set of weaponry. You know, like the cop that you saw that was inside the building had some like nunchucks. He had some sais. You know, a few of these other guys.
So this is a serious question. Nunchucks. The only thing I can think of is the nunchucks for a Wii U or a Wii controller.
No,
Where
Bruce
did
Lee.
they-
And
Bruce Lee, the Ninja
Michael-
Turtles,
Oh,
man.
those things, like the piece of wood with
The cylindrical pieces of
chain.
wood connected by a chain. Yes.
I didn't know they were called nunchucks.
Nunchucks. Yeah. So
Why
so these guys all seem to have different equipment and things. They all seem to have different specialties and whatnot. You've seen some with some like a few with some pistols. You've seen some with some crossbows. You've seen some with some like bladed weapons and swords, just kind of like sword and shield, sword and board, blah blah blah. So yeah.
Some of these people who have similar weapons, do they look like they're regimented weapons, or do they look like they've procured their own weapons?
Hard to tell. I mean, you know, they're not exactly like branded or anything, but you can see that there's just like there's a variety of them. It doesn't seem like they have a standardized form of weaponry. They all kind of have their own kind of thing, but they generally all strike you as well trained. Just the way that they walk, the way that they move, and they carry themselves. These people are very well trained, and they look serious.
Morning, everyone. These are proper covers. Calvin? No Calvin in, right?
what does that even mean?
We
I think
all
what it
bloody
means-
well know what it.
I think what it means is try not to blow anybody up.
All
Or
by
steal
their
the
skin.
Yes.
The fuck is...
Look, me and Belmorn are quite adamant on you not buying anyone's skin.
Look, if both me and Drab are on the same page,
Then something's wrong with you. I think you're sick. Must be this heat. Maybe you should take some of those skills off, cool down a little bit. I'll look after them for you then.
I look like perfectly comfortable, and you're like a sweaty mess.
Yeah. Like dripping, like a sweat dripping off my beard.
There's like an episode of Seinfeld where he looks at one woman and like in like good lighting, and she's like super beautiful, and then like he like goes into a restaurant and it's like awful lighting, and she just like she looks like a homeless person. Like she just kind of, you know, I feel like Kelvin's the bad lighting right now. Yeah. So Ori says, do you want me to look inside?
oh no, we will all head in together.
Should Kelvin wait out here?
What? No.
I don't think we should let him have our sights, to be honest, Ori.
Oh,
Well, I'm not some kind of volatile substance,
I mean,
You have-
all alchemists are some kind of volatile substance.
You blew up that one part of the ship when we were traveling. I remember the boards caught on fire, and you stomped it out, and you said, "Don't tell anyone."
Kelvin, I just once saw you make a soda and your trousers set on light.
Well, those are exceptions.
And that one
Those-
time when you were making that bomb, and you made the wick too short, and your beard caught on
Yeah.
fire.
That one's an exception as well.
That one time your door was stuck in your bedroom and you tried to twist the handle and the entire thing exploded.
Right, fine.
And you guys are like having this conversation as you like walk over to the line. And Kelvin like stops to think for a second, and that's where we're gonna take our next break. We'll be right back, everybody, in 5 minutes. Stay tuned for some more Turn Order, the Seventh Eon, episode number 5. Back shortly. Hang tight.